Hello and welcome back to Starcastic Remarks alongside Chris to my right and James to my left. My name is Ryan. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast at THPN. James, I love your shirt, as do yours. Christian, I love yours just as much, but I really like James's shirt. And anyways, guys, how are we doing this very fine Dallas DFW week sports era?
Great. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, pit of the despair in the sports week. The Cowboys lost, the Aggies lost, the Rangers lost 3 in a row. But you know what? We're back on top, baby. DFW sports never disappoints ever. I'm so happy.
We also got to make it exciting, though, don't we?
It's always got to be exciting.
It's always going to be exciting, right? I just thought that was noteworthy. I mean, how often is it that all four major sports teams in the DFW area are still playing all at the same time? This is, I can't think of another time this has happened. Like even during like 2010, 2011, when the Rangers last went to the World Series, I don't think that
it happened in 2010.
It did? Okay, maybe I don't remember as well as I thought I did. It's been a long time ago for me. But,
That was cool.
Oh, he's like gone, I guess. Okay. Well, moving on.
Oh, he's back. Hi, Ryan.
There he is. Hi, Ryan. What's up?
Didn't even take 3 minutes.
Full robot mode.
What happened?
You're very delayed now, too. It's great.
All right, cool. So,
Go ahead, Chris. Go.
Okay, we're gonna start it off. For some reason, Ryan wanted to start on the sad news, so we'll start with some sad news. Rick Bonus's wife.
Get it out of the way.
Okay, Rick Bonus's wife had a stroke. I think is correct. So he had to take a leave of absence for the team. So obviously something we never want to see. We're hoping that his wife is better, and we're definitely praying for her. So remember to keep him in mind when you see the Jets and they don't have their coach. Just something to think on. Something that we can all comment on. The Frozen Frenzy was last night, which me and James didn't even really touch on. All 32 NHL teams in action at the exact same time on a weekday when nobody could watch all the games.
On a
Tuesday on Game 7 of the National League Championship Series.
On the opening night of
on the opening night of the NBA. So I'm guessing you can understand my perspective on this, but what do y'all think about what did y'all think about the Frozen Frenzy, everybody?
I think it's cool. I mean, having all the teams play all in one night is really, really cool to see, just because there's always going to be something going on, and everyone kind of, normally you have like some people move in the standings and then other teams will sit there. And then last night, everyone moved. And if you didn't move, then you lost a game. So I think the idea behind it's really cool. I think when they did it was kind of stupid.
I'm kind of in consensus with James here. I love the idea. It's a very interesting idea, but don't you think it would be better if maybe we did it like, I don't know, after the All-Star break, like when the games are really starting to matter, and I don't know, do some more rivalry matchups? I mean, no offense to the Penguins, but they're not exactly our biggest rival. Don't we want to see, like, especially of late, don't you want to see the Stars go against Vegas or maybe go against Colorado?
All 32 teams playing a division opponent?
That would be chaos.
Gosh, man. But I mean, that
even if you don't do that, though, there is a much better way to execute this than doing it on Tuesday night when the NLCS is going on and the NBA just started. I mean, I agree with you guys. I like the idea. Very fun. You know what would make it more fun? If I could actually watch more than one game. I mean, I get home from work and I could watch the Stars game and then I have to go to sleep pretty much. Or I could be a maniac and watch one more game.
That's what I did.
That's what I do. I do that sometimes too.
But like,
yay, West Coast.
This is what me and James talked about after our podcast last night after the game. But what they should do, they've already kind of taken New Year's Day and like, hey, we're doing a big hockey thing on New Year's Day. They're doing the Winter Classic. Love that, you know? They always do it. I think they normally start at like noon on New Year's Day is what I recall. Great. Start with that. That's the only game going on from noon until 3. And then right as 3 hits, bunch of games start. Then start the Frozen Frenzy. That way you can make it, it's a holiday. Most people are not at work and they can actually watch more than one game. And that is so much better than trying to fit 32 games in between 5 p.m. and what ended up being 2 a.m. Central Time.
Right.
Crazy.
And when you think, that's a good point, because when you think about it, when you think about Thanksgiving, when it comes to sports, what sport do you think of?
Football.
Football.
Course.
Okay,
Christmas Day.
like even
Basketball.
if you exactly, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The NHL doesn't have something like that. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out and like do Martin Luther King Day or something like that, but I love what you said about that. A New Year's, we already have that kind of that day. The NHL does. We've been doing it for years now. I would start it a little earlier, maybe than just noon. Maybe start it at like 11, because my only thing is you don't want it to go too late. Like you don't want it to go to midnight.
Ryan, no one's awake at 11 on New Year's Day.
That's what I was gonna say.
And if they are awake, they're hating themselves at the current
Okay,
moment.
I guess that's true.
So...
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that part. But
yeah,
but still.
Making a day of something like you said, like football does, like basketball does, would be fantastic. Even baseball does it. Memorial Day, they have their own day. I mean, I think that's a great idea.
What about like a day during like spring break for the kids?
That's lame. Spring break
You
is
don't think
different
so?
for everybody as well.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
If they don't do a holiday, I still feel like that they should do like a Saturday. Like if they can't figure out
absolutely,
and I know why they did it, because they're trying to avoid other sports and
they did a poor job then.
But they did a poor job with this one, and I understand why they picked a Tuesday. But I mean, really, who cares?
Just do it on a Saturday after college football.
Yeah, I mean, like college football will be done in January, right? That's when their national championship game is, and then. And it's exactly the right time when I said to do it. Do it after the All-Star break when the games really matter. Put division rivals against each other on that day. So, I don't know.
Good idea, poor execution.
Yes.
Welcome to the NHL.
Yeah, which is exactly why they're not going to do like a all-day New Year's Day thing or on a Saturday.
New Year's Day is going to be 2 games, and it's going to be the Winter Classic, and then it's going to be like the Coyotes are playing against, I don't know, the
Sharks.
Sharks, yeah.
Sorry, no offense to Shark fans or Arizona fans, but I mean, come on.
Offense.
It's pretty high.
No.
Sharks are kind of, Arizona's kind of good right now. I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Offense to Shark
another
fans.
night. Offense to Shark fans only. Screw the Sharks. Well, we can't be mad at the Sharks fans. They gave us Pavelski.
Offense to Shark fans. Moving on.
Chris doesn't care. Okay. So the NHL recently released that they have a brand new advanced statistic website, and I've seen a lot of good things about it, to be honest with you. I personally have not gotten the chance to kind of go through and dig into it, but I'm assuming they have stuff like expected goals for per 60, and like for goaltenders, maybe goals saved above expected per 60 or something like that. But have y'all gotten a chance to go onto the website, unless you're doing it right now? Guilty.
I didn't even know that it was that they even put it up, honestly. So
bad marketing, NHL. Yeah. Come on, NHL.
There you go. Poor execution once again.
Yeah, once again. But knowing that, at least knowing it, do you think it would be cool? It's a cool idea for the NHL to release these statistics to the public.
Yes, obviously. Yeah, I love statistics. Awesome. Like it's fun to look at.
Hey,
especially.
James, remember we were talking about the shot chart last night? It's got it. It's got it.
Oh,
A+
really?
In my book. There you go. I'm using this so much now. I didn't even know it was released yet either. So it's very cool.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Starcastrical Marks, for keeping me updated on all the NHL news.
So I think it's more for nerds like us who really care about it. For the casual NHL fan, especially the casual Stars fan, I don't think they're really going to care that much about it. But I think it's really interesting when you have an eye test and you're looking at the eye test and you're like, okay, Marchment didn't do too well tonight, or we had that one game where Essa didn't do too well, and then you're able to kind of go look at some of those statistics and have numbers to kind of back it up. So I think it's really interesting to allowing conversation to continue among the hockey nerds, kind of like the three of us.
Or prove you wrong, not just confirmation bias, Ryan.
Hey, you can find statistics for just about anything nowadays.
Them facts.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, moving on from that, as James and Chris get distracted by
Dude, you should not have told me this in the middle of an episode.
Dude. I don't know about you, but hey.
I guess we're done. I guess we're done. Good night, guys.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. The NHL recently had talked about a couple weeks ago with their general managers of decentralizing the NHL draft. And there were a lot of pundits that came out and said, this is a really stupid idea. This is probably one of the best events the NHL puts on is the NHL draft, especially the first round. They do make it a big old deal of like the top 32 players. And these are the future stars of the game and stuff like that. They have actually now completely voted to take away having a central location for the NHL draft. So I don't know the specific details on it, but what I do know is that this will allow basically everybody to stay home. So the teams will have their bases in their home cities. I don't know what that means for like prospects and stuff like that. If they're going to have if they're still going to take the top, I don't know, 60 candidates or whatever and invite them to for, I don't know, NHL headquarters or something. I don't know. But there has not been a lot of good feedback from the public about this, and they're not very happy about it. Do y'all really care? What's y'all's thoughts on that?
I don't really care. I never really found the draft to be very interesting to watch live. Seeing the players that get picked, yeah, I like that. But I just follow that on Twitter, and I just see who got picked and where. As a spectacle, it was not very interesting to me. So this doesn't really affect me very much.
James?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Chris on that. I mean, honestly, I don't watch the draft at all. Maybe I should. I don't even follow the players like Chris does. It'll be like a week later. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look at who got drafted, and that's what I do.
I mean, honestly, that's fine too. I mean, the players aren't moving once they get drafted, so
yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The only thing it does is it kind of it feels less impactful, I guess, for the people who go in the first round. Because I mean, they do have the whole jersey thing that they do and all that, and that's fun. So
hockey already did a terrible job of that anyway.
That's true. But taking it away does not make that better. It makes it worse.
I don't know. Would taking away the All-Star game make it better? I think so.
This kind of segues from the whole analytics thing. But what if we had a super skills competition and we use the advanced stats to kind of decide who is in those competitions? So one of the things you can look at is the hardest shot and who's had the hardest shot throughout the season. I forget who it is, but a couple of the people at the top of the list are not people you would expect. So I think it would be cool to have the guys who are on those lists, the fastest skaters and who skated the fastest. I think the fastest is 28 miles per hour from some random person, but also have the NHL stars there. I think it would be fun to have stuff like that and match those guys up and say, okay, well, these guys had the hardest shot during the regular season.
We're talking about the All-Star game or the draft?
Super skills.
What?
What
are we talking about?
Ryan's transitioned into deleting the All-Star game.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm on
You
board
talked
now.
about you brought it up, Chris.
Well,
He didn't jump in the rabbit hole with you, Ryan.
No, I'd not go all the way down there. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's my bad.
I was like, come on, jump in the
Yeah,
rabbit
that's a
hole.
good idea. That'd be fun, but I mean, it'd be kind of lame if the top guy was like Hakanpää got the hardest shot randomly.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care to see that very much, to be honest. No offense to Hakanpää.
I still think it would be fun. Anyways, okay, going on from that, but okay, star stuff. First things first. If you haven't seen the meme that Cy Samuel put up on X/Twitter, absolutely hilarious. Tyler Seguin arrived at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas earlier than the rest of his team, and security did not believe him and would not let him in, and did not know that he was a member of the Dallas Stars. I thought it was really funny because it would make sense if it's like, Thomas Harley or like Wyatt Johnston or one of the younger guys that hasn't been around for a while. But this is Tyler Seguin. Like he's been around the Stars for over a decade now. And you don't know who he is? I thought it was kind of funny.
All I gotta say is kudos to that security guard. I mean,
For real.
standing by his stuff.
He's doing his job.
He's doing his job. He is doing his job. He's not messing around over there. Give that guy a raise.
I don't know if I'd be able to tell someone just like, I don't believe you if they said they were an NHL player.
Especially when they're wearing a full suit and they look like a hockey player. And you're like, prove it.
That, I don't know. That dude, he deserves a lot more money.
There was a Sportsnet reel on YouTube that I saw that they showed all these WWE and like Raw stars. And they were like, is this a hockey player or no? And, a lot of these guys don't know hockey very well. So they were like showing pictures of like Trevor Zegras and like Austin Matthews and stuff like that. And then they were showing pictures of like some other anchors from Sportsnet. And I thought it was hilarious because a lot of people said that Austin Matthews did not look like an NHL player. He was like, there's no way he's an NHL player. So I thought it was funny. But anyways, moving on from that, because I'm sure almost everybody has seen that at this point. If you haven't, go look. Logan Stankoven, we need to bring him up. He is absolutely lighting up the AHL right now. And I mean, did we call it? Honestly, I don't think he deserves to be there, but there's no way that he can fit onto the Stars roster right now. And it kind of leads into another thing that we'll talk about later. But what have you seen from the hype around Stankoven down with the Texas Stars? What have you seen from his game? Is he going to get called up soon?
Yeah, I don't think just we called it. I think pretty much everyone called it, and everyone's going to happen.
Fair.
And then it happened. He has 4 goals and 3 assists in 5 games played, and he also scored in the shootout of another game. I think it was the winner. He scored in the shootout. So, yeah, he's been ridiculous. Like we all suspected, he's the best player on the Texas Stars by a wide margin right now. And the other guy who continues to impress on Texas Stars is Liam Bichsel, however you want to say his last name. So, yeah, both those guys who looked outstanding. Wow, turns out they are outstanding.
That's crazy.
Crazy. But I just don't think there's any room to fit them on this roster right now. There's definitely not with cap space. So with the way the roster is right now, you literally cannot.
Yeah. What's gonna happen for them getting on is someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah, there's gonna get injuries.
We're gonna have an injury somewhere, and that's not knocking on wood. That's
I'm not even. Yeah, I think that's a fact. I don't even know that's a knock on wood thing.
Well, I don't care. I'm still knocking on wood because I don't want somebody big to get hurt.
Fair enough.
And part of the nice thing about our lineup right now is that all 4 lines kind of look a little dangerous. I mean, even with Fox on the 4th line, it looks a little dangerous just because of Craig Smith. I mean, he's had a really good start to the season. He's dove deep for pucks and just crashed the net. So, I mean, he's looked really good, and that line's still going to be dangerous, even if it's not getting as much ice time. Mm-hmm. So it makes me like, even if we pull Stankoven up and he has to play on the 4th line, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. So I kind of want to throw another player in there along with Stankoven and Bichsel, and that's Maverick Bourque. Now, one thing we did, we kind of sort of talked about, and we thought it would be really cool if it happened, was that if Stankoven and Bourque kind of made some chemistry, and I mean, I know that skilled players like playing with other skilled players. It just kind of works. But these two guys look really good together, and Bork really seems to complement Stankoven, and Stankoven really seems to complement Bork there. So going forward, these two guys look like guys that could be in the top 6 for the Dallas Stars for 15 plus years from here on out. So this is another player I wanted to throw into the ring, Maverick. So hopefully nothing happens to any of the Stars, but if there is injury, it's nice to know that we got some depth down there and some guys who are really lighting up the AHL. Okay, we kind of wanted to mention this as well. Moving on from that, Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane has still yet to sign a contract, but we have seen videos of him on social media where he looks pretty good. He looks ready to go. His surgeries seem to have prescribed away, and he looks healthy to get a contract.
I think he's targeting late November is when he says he's going to be 100%, is what I saw.
And that's interesting because this leads into the next thing. So I saw the rumor on Twitter again for like the 5th time. We've seen this whole Patrick Kane to Dallas thing numerous times. And one of the posts I put on the Starcastic Remarks X page was, okay, well, it looks like that they're going to have to make a move or make a trade or something like that. And Uri came out and basically said, no. I mean, there's a lot longer message that he sent me, but long story short, he said, basically, if we wait and nobody gets hurt, we can just accrue cap space. And by early December, mid-December, if he signs a $775,000 contract, then he can be with the Dallas Stars at that point, which is probably a little later than what Chris is saying that Patrick Kane wants to do. But what are y'all's thoughts on Patrick Kane being on the Dallas Stars? Because honestly, I don't understand it. I don't think it makes sense. And I just don't see a spot for him in the lineup with the Dallas Stars.
Well, he's not going to make $775,000. That's for sure. He would never take that. That's a very cute idea, but even Patrick Kane would not do that. Even if he wants to win a cup really super bad, he wouldn't do that. I would disagree with you strongly that there's not a spot for him. There is 100% a spot for him. It's the 3rd line and Mason Marchment's spot because he has been not good. He's had a terrible start to the season. It hasn't shown any semblance that he will progress to get any better. So putting Patrick Kane on that spot would do nothing but help. So I think that would be a fantastic thing if you can get him. And if you can somehow offload Marchment and add Kane and not give away too much, then I think you 100% do it.
Are you willing to give up a draft pick to offload Marchment's contract?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll give up a 1st-round draft pick.
We're honestly, it's for us. I feel like it's starting to get into. Well, I think it's starting to get to the point that Tampa was at last year. They traded away a whole draft year for one player. That's true.
And he hasn't really panned out much.
No, he hasn't.
So,
but at this point, I mean, when have the Stars ever been closer to winning a Stanley Cup than they are right now? The answer is never. So if you're not going to give away a little bit of your future to get better now, then you're never going to do it. And that's the incorrect thing to do. I mean, last-minute moves are extremely important. I mean, the Stars in 99 are a key example of that, getting Brett Hull. I mean, late addition, and he ends up scoring the most famous goal in Dallas Stars history. So,
or infamous
if you're if you're
a Buffalo Sabres fan.
If you're Buffalo. Yep. But yeah, you got to be able to take risks like this, and there's no better time to take a risk than now.
But like, part of my point is I don't even think it's a risk to trade away draft picks at this point. I mean, we have people in the pipe right now who are going to come forward, and they're going to be good for the next at least 4 or 5 years.
The risk is low.
Very low, in my opinion. Almost none.
Now, the only issue that I see coming up with something like that is the issue that the Stars have had for the past 3-4 years with trying to make trades happen, is that they have such good prospects that teams are going to say, no, we want a prospect or we're not doing a deal with you, which has happened to the Stars multiple times. They have had better offers and they turned it down because they were asking for a Maverick Bork or a Wyatt Johnston, and the Stars had to say no, and the team went somewhere else and got a worse deal than they would have gotten with the Stars. So that could totally happen again. But if someone says, we'll take Mason Marchment if you give us a first-round draft pick, you do it immediately. That's a no-brainer.
Okay. So what do you think Patrick Kane would sign for, though, Chris? Because you said he's not going to sign for $775. So are we talking like, I don't see him getting even $2 million, to be totally honest.
What? Patrick Kane?
No, yes, I'm serious. This is not the same guy who won the Cup 3 times.
No, it's not, but it's still Patrick Kane.
Okay, but he still has had hip surgery, and we've seen what that did to Tyler Seguin. Tyler Seguin is not the same player that he was after hip surgery, and he's also in his late 30s. And I'm sorry, yes, he's got the Stanley Cup acumen. Yes, he can come into the locker room and be like, "Hey guys, I know what it takes to get there." But
I'm not saying he gets $8 million. I'm saying he's getting 3 to 5.
I don't even think there's no way he's getting $5 million.
He's scored way more than you think he has. He's still a top tier forward. He's a top 6 forward 100%.
Who's coming off of hip surgery. Absolutely. I understand what you're saying, but I just don't see him. If he wants to go to if he wants a chance to win, which is what he's probably going to want because he's in his late 30s and his career is hitting the twilight zone, he's going to have to take a huge pay cut wherever he goes. And it's not going to be $5 million. There's no way.
0.75 points per game last year.
Yeah. I'm not up to 5 mil. I'm not up to 5 mil, Chris, but I'm definitely there with you on like around 3 mil. Like I think he'll probably essentially would take what Marchment's contract is.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little less, like 4, but I think 3 or 4. But
last season was the only season in forever that he wasn't a point per game player.
Yeah. And I think part of what is not going to impact him as much is that he's been a right winger. I mean, Sagan's was a center and has been a center and is still trying to be a center. But
kind of at this point, Duchesne's more the third line center. But sorry, go ahead.
But there's a reason for that, right? Because Seguin can't get up to that same speed anymore. It's harder for him to get back and play that defensive style, which is part of what you need to be a center in this league right now. I mean, that's also why I feel like Ben kind of doesn't work very well as a center. But that's why I think, you look at our center depth, Rope Hintz, the fastest player on our team. And then you have Wyatt Johnston, who's super young and could just explode. And then you also have Matt Duchene, who is still incredibly fast as well. I mean, those are some of our fastest players, and they're all centers. So I think with Kane being a right winger, you can hide that speed a lot. Pavelski isn't fast either, but if you play positionally and you know where to go to get goals, you can still score. And Pavelski is the obvious example of that just on our own team.
And then in the playoffs, he played with the Rangers, who had a bad playoffs. He played 7 games and scored 6 points.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
After coming off of an injury and was probably still hurt.
I'm pretty sure he was still hurt.
And he scored 6 points in 7 games. It's a no-brainer.
Okay, y'all have convinced me. I don't see him getting $5 million still. I'll be with you on the 3 to 3.5.
5 is on the high end, but another team could definitely give it to him. The Stars can't, but another team could definitely give him 5, and I would not be surprised.
Like Buffalo, that's been the biggest team that he's been mostly connected to, which I know Buffalo is up and coming and there's a lot of hype around them making the playoffs this year, but
their start is not good and their division is ridiculously hard. They are 8th in their division right now and they're 3-4. They're only 1 game below NHL 500. That's last in their division.
Is that the Atlantic? Or are they in the
That's
Metro?
the Atlantic. They are fighting. So in the Atlantic, you still have the 3 who have been the 3 for forever with Boston the Maple Leafs and Tampa Bay Lightning, who have been top 3 in that division for the past 3 years at least. But then you also have the Florida Panthers, who were the President's Trophy winner 2 years ago and Stanley Cup Finals last year. And then you also have the Red Wings, who have been ridiculous to start the season. And then you also have Ottawa, who's supposed to be really good and still is pretty good right now. And then the Canadians are just randomly doing good for no reason. So it's, I mean, that's their whole division. Their division is terrifying.
There's one bad team in that division.
Yeah.
And they're playing good right now.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if y'all have seen DeBrinket's play in Detroit lately. It's ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. He's ridiculous top of the league in scoring right now.
Yeah. First story of the week, I think, for this past week.
Deserved too.
Okay.
Good night.
Anyway, hey, we went down that rabbit hole. See? Podcasting. Went down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
We did it.
Good job, James. Okay. But make a prediction. Is he going to be, to wrap it up, is he going to be on the Dallas Stars when he's ready to sign a contract?
Probably not.
No.
I say no as well. I don't think
it would be cool if he did, but
I'll go even further. He has a 30% chance of being on the Stars.
Ooh.
It's a percentage.
Can I Prices Right you and say 31?
No.
Okay. Moving on. And this is one of the big topics that we need to talk about when it comes to storylines of the young season. We very briefly mentioned it already because Patrick Kane could fill in on that third line. And it's Mason Marchment, man. I'm still going to give him some time. Like my opinion matters or anything. But he still has not come out in the early season and done anything of note, to be honest with you. And
he sucked to start the year. That's way too nice. He has sucked to start the season.
I'm trying to be nice here, Chris, because he is still trying to figure things out. Okay. But yeah, and y'all did a really good job in explaining it last night, and his whole situation is not only has he not done a ton of things noticeable on the ice, made good plays defensive wise or offensive wise, but I'm pretty sure I would guess that he leads the Stars in penalty minutes, at least minor penalty minutes. Excuse me. I mean, how long of a leash does he have if he gets his spot back? Because he lost it in the last game. And if he's not the answer on that third line, do we have to rely on Dellandrea, or if Dellandrea doesn't work? I mean, what's the path going forward for that third spot on that third line?
This was part of what I was talking about last night as well. I mean, we saw Dellandrea come up onto the line with Ben and Johnston, and he looked great. I mean, he's not going to score. I said it last night. He's just not. But last season, he was in that spot, and he looked really solid. And the only reason why he moved is because the goals weren't coming, honestly. I mean, the plays he was making looked really good, and the chemistry was there, but they couldn't sink the puck into the back of the net. And now I feel like with Ben having the confidence after the season he just had, I mean, and he's still scoring crazy good, and Johnston's having, he's looked better to start the season than he ended last year. I mean,
last year he ended amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, he's skating around the ice like a madman, trying to pickpocket everyone that he sees, and then he's just fighting everyone on the boards for every puck, which is a style that Dellandrea plays too. I mean, that line can work really well. And then you talk about Dodonov with Sagan and Duchesne, and they scored as soon as they put them together. The first game. I mean, and especially when you're talking about Sagan and Duchesne were both playing really good to start the season, and they just weren't getting the same amount of goals in terms of how well they looked. I mean, Sagan had 1, but it felt like he should have had 7, and Duchesne had none, and it felt like he should have had 28. But the second they put those together, suddenly the line scores. It's not coincidence. It's not.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the lines are going to stay the same until you have another crap game like we started at in Pittsburgh. So Mason Marchment, I think, should stay on the fourth line until the line stop working again.
The other thing that was really weird is that Marchment he crashed the net a little more on the fourth line, which is what the fourth line's supposed to do. I don't know if that just fits his play style better and or what, but I mean, you can also hide him on the fourth line, so it's not as much of a problem.
I honestly kind of disagree with it. I think Mason Marchment on the fourth line, his defensive liability is probably worse there because the fourth line is already less good, I will say. It's still a very good for a fourth line, but still can be exposed by another team's top line pretty easily. And Mason Marchment is already a defensive liability. So putting him with other players who are not the best and him being a defensive liability could make that so much worse. And you don't want the fourth line to be hampered like that on the system that DeBoer has.
So do you think that Mason Marchment's defensive inabilities is going to trump how good Foxa is defensively?
I don't think it'll trump it, but it won't help it.
Okay, that's fair. But do you think it's going to hurt it enough to where it's going to hurt that fourth line's ability to do its job as a fill-in shift, maybe a momentum builder, maybe if the game's going the wrong way and they just need a forechecking shift in the offensive zone? Do you really think it's going to be that big of a hamper?
I do, honestly. Okay. With the way he's been playing, I think it's bad enough. I mean, he hasn't even been skating. I'll use our fancy new little NHL Edge puck and player tracker system right here.
I should have never told you all about this. I'm never going to hear the end of this. You're just going to randomly text me during the day. I'll be in the middle of like beginner saxophone class. And James is going to be like,
Marchment's shooting percentage between the dot and the circle is 45% on the right side, but the left side it's 60. He needs to be shooting from that side more. Yeah,
or I don't remember. I don't remember the fictional character that's like, did you know? Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Nope, you're old. Okay, oh my gosh. Back to my point. Mason Marchment is fast, right? He's got a fast guy. These two neat little. I'll give you three neat little skating stats on the NHL player tracker. Top skating speed. He is 20.29. League average is 21.37. He is below the 50th percentile. He is below average on skating speed. Below average on speed bursts over 20 miles per hour. He's not skating fast. You know how many times he skated over 20 miles an hour this season?
3. Oh, that's even worse.
His skating distance, 11 miles. NHL average is 13. He is less than average. So
is that
he's
per
not
game?
Skating. That's
total
league-wide.
But like, is that 13 miles? Like,
that's per game. Yes.
Okay. That's okay.
He also plays as much minutes as a fourth liner, though. His time on ice is at 13 minutes.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that for the skating distance. Honestly, weird stat anyway. I just threw it in there just because. The other two, he has full control over, and they're still below 50%.
Chris is like, honestly, I got you.
Pull up his page. Everything on Mason Marchment is below. I think we were paying $4.5 million, who was a top scorer in Florida when they won the President's Trophy. I mean, he has been fully bad, and he's had a year and now 6 games to at least show us something.
Still a young season.
Still a young season. Fully agree. But I see no signs of anything to even build off of, which is very sad. This is a reminder I'm calling myself out because I called for him to have a great bounce back season this year. So that's why I'm being even more harsh on it because I'm upset. I wanted this to happen.
Again, it's only 6 games. So now I think the real period where we need to look back on it is like after Thanksgiving, maybe like after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, and then we can really get down and say, okay, yes, he's sucked for the first 6 games. He has not played well. But I mean, what if he goes on a 10-game goal streak or something? He could do that. I'm not saying it's going to, but we just have to wait a little bit longer, and then we can draw more conclusions as the season goes on.
I would agree if it was just, he has no points, but he's skating hard and he's winning puck battle. There's nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing positive, and that's why I'm so upset.
That's fair.
There's not one thing. Fair. Everything is bad.
It doesn't look like
obviously bad when it doesn't look like he's trying. It obviously looks bad when he's on the ice. I mean, it looks terrible. when he's on the ice. He makes every line look worse. So that's what upsets me more than anything. I don't care that he hasn't scored. He hasn't looked good.
So even at the 4.5 million, if he looks like he's trying harder, like I thought he looked better in the second and third period once he got moved to that fourth line.
Because he felt more motivated to do something.
I don't even.
If you're getting paid $4.5 million, you shouldn't have to be moved to the fourth line.
You shouldn't be on the fourth line.
You have failed if you're on the fourth line. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. Let's move off of that because I got one more big storyline that I want to talk about, and then we'll open it up for the biggest surprises of the season, or not biggest surprises, how you look at it. So we're sitting here bickering and complaining and stuff like that. And
meanwhile,
the Stars have allowed 3 goals shorthanded, 2 of them within the same power play. Somehow still were able to win the game. First team in NHL history to allow 3 shorthanded goals and still be able to win the game. And yet they're still 4-0-1. So, and what's been so frustrating is that I don't think they've played a full, complete 60-minute game, right?
Oh, they
so Otter has.
He's
played 4 complete games.
Okay, and that was what I was going to get at, is he has been the guy who has kind of saved the early season and made the Stars record look as good as it has. Now, the Stars have had good long stretches. So, like, for example, the first period against Pittsburgh was it wasn't all atrocious, but especially the last 10 minutes was very atrocious. They were not playing very well, and they were allowing chances throughout the first period that were directly in front of Jay Gottinger, like prime scoring chances, one-timers outside the slot, right, really close. But then they come back and they're able to win the game in the second and the third period. And I thought they played better in the second and the third period. But even during those quote unquote good periods, I still don't feel like we've seen the full might of the Dallas Stars and what they could become. So that's exciting.
The early season blues. That's all I'm saying. I mean, this team can be good. I feel like the biggest part that makes this team not feel like we're dominating as much is our power play right now. And it just hasn't clicked yet. And that was one of the biggest parts of last season.
Yep. I agree with that pretty substantially. I think we were getting a power play goal every night last season. You get one of those, and those 1-goal leads that we've had all season turn into just 2-goal leads, and it feels a lot more comfortable, and it's a lot easier to win the game. So I think power play is a huge part of it. And yeah, I think just other people just getting their legs under them and trying to figure out how to play together and how to play hockey again. I mean, you got to knock rust off, and I think preparation for the games is a big part of that. I think you saw that in Pittsburgh, and I think responding to what the other team is doing is a part of that as well, because you saw that with oh my goodness, I'm sorry guys, Tortorella. What team does Tortorella coach?
The Flyers.
The Flyers. You saw that with the Flyers. We scored early in that game, and we're looked pretty good. And the Flyers responded within the period and punched us in the mouth, and there was no response. It was just on your heels the whole time.
And somehow still won the game again.
Still, Jay Gottinger.
Also being the only team ever to give up 3 shorthanded goals and win, which is just stupid.
Just give us the Stanley Cup now. I mean, just give it to us.
Wasn't Wedgwood in the net for that one?
Yeah. It was Wedgie, yeah.
He played good too.
Yeah, he allowed 4 goals. That's the scary thing.
Well, but 3 shorthanded goals are unacceptable. But
it is unacceptable. But see, but I'm frustrated but excited at the same time. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated with the fact that we're not seeing the best yet, but it's kind of to be expected. You've got new guys and new roles, and especially the defense is the same guys, other than maybe Harley is pseudo new. He didn't play at the start of the last season, but they're all playing with different guys pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. And especially the bottom pairing guys are the ones that are trying to figure it out. And yet they still look good within the game. There's still good plays that are being made by all 4 of the bottom 4 guys. Yes, including Hakanpää and Lindell and Suter. They still have their issues, but together they've looked good. So it makes me excited that that we can build from here. And even though we're having a hard time, winning games and not making it easy on ourselves, we're still winning them. And one of the things I talked about in the preseason was good teams still find a way to win, even if that means relying on your number one goalie.
Yeah, that's the exciting thing for me is that we're playing, I would say, what we would call bad. I mean, the Flyers game and the Penguins game, we were bad, and we still were able to win both of the games. So I think when you're doing that, your team is obviously fantastic, just on paper. A lot of that was just skill. Beating the Flyers, I think, was 100% just because our guys were better than theirs. And that's an exciting thing. And we're going to figure out how to get better as the season progresses. And I don't doubt that at all. And honestly, something that I wanted to bring up is our defense, like as a team overall, has looked fantastic. I mean, the way that we've been getting scored on is turnovers and rushes the other direction. So our team defense still looks like the number 3 defense in the league that it was last year. Yeah. So that's very exciting.
And really, that was evident in last night's game. I mean, we gave that turnover on the offensive blue line, and it was instantly in the back of the net. And then we were paying very close attention to that, obviously, the rest of the night because we were dumping and forechecking. I mean, that's what we were doing.
Turnovers after the first period, yeah.
And then let's talk about it because we've already talked about him. But I think the biggest storyline of the young season is Jake Ottinger is saying, "Give me the Vezina trophy right now." He is absolutely, probably single-handedly, deciding the Stars' fate at this point because this record could look a lot worse if it wasn't for him and his ability to, especially start games on time when the team has not been able to, like the Pittsburgh game last night. So, I mean, I don't even have his stats in front of me, but he's got to have at least a 930 right now, right?
He is over 930.
Yeah, it's got to be something.
He has a 952 save percentage right now.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
And a 144 goals against average.
Again, I know it's the young season. I know that I don't expect him to keep those numbers up, but still, he's got 4 games to his name, and he's been able to do that. That's crazy.
Why can't he keep those numbers up, honestly? I mean, I think he can. He has the best goals against average and save percentage for a goalie that has played 4 or more games. He's number 1.
4 games is tough. 4 games is tough when you're talking about we've only played like.
Hey, man. Well, the guys above him, there's Linus Ullmark, and that's it. That's the only starter who's above him. The other guys are backups who have played 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
So of the starting goalies, fine. We'll say he's number 2.
Have y'all seen anything different from Jake Ottinger that you saw last year?
He's just, I mean, he looks like he did at the beginning of last season. I mean, it just proves to me more that he was likely hurt during the playoffs and that he just fell off. Something fell off and something was wrong because he was especially, I mean, I keep going back to last night's game because last night's game was like it was so bad till they broke through and it was kind of like, wait a second. This works.
It's okay all of a sudden.
But like he was just in position for every shot the Penguins took on him. I mean, and we weren't giving up those rebound chances, so we didn't have to he barely had to scramble all night. There was one scare other than the goal that was S. Lindell accidentally shooting it on his own net.
Yeah.
That was the scariest point other than the goal that they had in the first. Other than that, I mean, they all looked like routine saves, and some of them were very not.
Yeah. And when Jake Ottinger is confident, he looks unstoppable. And he's definitely a guy that kind of rides the wave as he's going throughout the season. And right now he's at the top of a really big one. So I think he'll get a season where he stays on top of that wave for the majority of it, and that's when he'll win the Vezina, is when he stays on the wave. So I think in his young career, he's got to figure. We saw those waves definitely a lot last season. There was a couple of stretches I can remember where Ottinger was kind of I mean, he never looked like terrible, but there was games where it was like, well, Ottinger didn't really help us win tonight. But if he can find a way to stay on top and be at the top of his game like he is right now and keep that confidence, keep the swagger, keep the exceptional positioning, like you said, James, that's how he'll win a Vezina, is finding a way to stay at the top of those peaks.
So Ryan Gardner over here saying, was it the ice time over the was it the off the ice time over the summer? Excuse me. And he's obviously talking about the fact that Jay Gottinger has come out and said he spent less time on the ice this past summer than any other previous offseason he's ever had. And that's a direct quote from him. It came from his lips. So, I mean, do you think that's a part of it?
I think it definitely could be, especially for this last game, because he didn't play the game before. So he came off of his break game and coming back in and played the best game he had in the past 3. So his best game was the game he came back after getting a break.
I don't think it directly impacts how he started this season, just because he did the same thing last year. Like, if you look at the numbers, he's almost the exact same.
Yeah,
what I think the more off ice time that he did over the summer and what he talked about at the beginning of the season, him really focusing on how he recovers and how he treats his body is going to affect is how he looks in February.
2 months. Yeah,
exactly. So it's going to see how can he bounce back? How can he recover better? And how does he look at the end of the season? I mean, last year we obviously saw he was way overworked. That's 100% true, but he also couldn't handle it. He was overworked to the point where he was no longer the same Jake Ottinger in the playoffs. So if he could find a way for the Stars, one, to not overwork him, and for him to recover better and more efficiently, that's solving the problems that we had last year.
We know how good he can be. He's just got to be able to do it every single night.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about with the riding the waves thing. He's already capable of being a Vezina goalie. That's 100% without a doubt. And
he's top 5
proof of that. Well, yeah, he's definitely top 5.
Maybe even top 3 at this point.
He's number 1 if you see the top of his game. The Calgary series 2 years ago,
he was the best goalie.
He was
in the
best goalie in the world for 7 games straight, without a doubt. And he was head and shoulders above every other goalie in the world during those 2 weeks. That's his level that he can get up to. That's his ceiling. His ceiling is the best goalie ever. So if he can find a way to do that more, Stars are in business.
That's tough. That's the hard part.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part, right? So Ryan over here from YouTube saying 60 starts for Ottinger is the ideal magic number for this season. We've talked about it. Limit the number of games he played, and I think I'm kind of right there with him. I think 55 to 60 is kind of the range you're looking for to kind of save him for the playoffs. And Wedgwood's going to have to stay healthy and play a few more games than he did last season. So
there's one more player I want to talk about before we move on out of the early season. I kind of want to talk about Miro Heiskanen a little bit because he has looked like an absolute monster. He's skating around everywhere. He's shooting the puck every time he gets a chance. He's skating it all the way down into the zone. Last night, I saw him behind the net, which, like, for Miro Heiskanen, yeah, that's pretty surprising. But he looks insane, and he has 4 points through 5 games. Like, that's if he sustains that through the whole year, you're looking at like at least 70 points. He's at least going to get the same point total as last year. And I think he's been robbed a couple of times through the season already.
He's hit a couple posts already, I think.
Absolutely.
And just like in the Blues game, he had 6 shots on net. Didn't score.
Yep. Really love seeing him shooting a lot more too. And I think that's going to be really important for the Stars. Something we didn't get last year almost at all was any goals from defensemen. We didn't get very many at all. So I think Heiskanen shooting and getting on that column a lot more is going to be big.
And his one goal he has was him on the rush.
Yep.
Yeah,
how many times did we see him on the rush last year?
Not many.
It wasn't very
Not
many
as much
times.
as this year. We've seen him do it a lot.
And I'd like to see him even when we're set up in the zone, just take it to the net. I mean, he's great at dancing the line and getting a shot through and shooting it at Pavelski and letting him tip it in. But honestly, if he can shake a forward like we've seen him do multiple times to just get a shot off, shake the forward and drive and look for guys on the side. And if the defenseman go and take those guys, take a shot. I mean, I'd like to see that a lot more and a lot more selfishness from Miro Heiskanen, even more than he's done. And he started the season doing it. So more. I want to see Miro score 1 billion goals and blow Carlson out of the water for points at the end of the season.
Wouldn't that be fun? I want to mention one player too, but we're not gonna. I just want to mention him, and we can do our Who Cares segment for the evening. So one of y'all can introduce it for us this evening. But I really think that a player who's getting overlooked more is Joe Pavelski. I mean, this guy, he puts this team on his back so much. And even to the point that I feel like he is absolutely the co-captain of this team right now. Like, Jamie Benn may wear the C right now, but he is absolutely 100% the heart and soul guy of this team right now. And he is the glue guy that makes everything about this team so much fun to watch. And I mean, and it's hard not to root for him either. He's never won a cup. He's in the best situation of his career, probably since 2016, when he went to the Stanley Cup Finals with the Sharks. And he's put his best point totals up in his career with the Dallas Stars. He didn't do it with the San Jose Sharks. He had some amazing seasons with the Sharks, and he was the dominant player for the Sharks. But he's putting up better point totals now. So it's hard not to root for a guy like this. And I think that's an underrated storyline from the early season. He continues to do it, and it's been 6 games. Sorry, 5 games.
Agreed.
He has 6 points.
6 points. Sorry, that's where I got the 6 from.
Yep. The crazy thing with him is that he's not fast. He's very slow at this point. Now we're on to the edge thing. Well, now we're on to the new site that the NHL has. If you want something that's absolutely like staggering, go look at. They have the last 3 seasons in advanced analytics for this. If you go look at top skating speed and burst over 20 miles an hour, he's like very, very low on all of them. So, and then you just see the other. They have a nice little chart thing. Everyone really needs to go see this now because
it's great. I love it. Go look at it. Go play with it.
Visually, very, very cool. Okay, but like his goals and shooting percentage is like top of the league. Without a doubt in the past 3 seasons. But he doesn't skate fast. He never skates fast because he's almost always in position. And he doesn't shoot hard either. He's just always in the right spots, tip the puck into the net no matter what happens.
Yeah. So you really do need to go look at his they got this overview graph.
It's so dumb.
The graph is like different points that spread out to make a circle. And it shows you what he's good at and what he's bad at. So his goals, his shooting percentage, and his shots on goal and his offensive zone time are all top of the charts, tops of the league. And then his top skating speed, oh my goodness, it's 11 p.m. And his speed bursts and his shot speed are all bottom 5% of the league.
It's so dumb.
It's like a semi-circle.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's one of the best players on our team.
It's just crazy. It's fun.
If not the best, I think he's probably the best forward on the team right now.
No.
I think you can make an argument for that. You can make an argument for that.
Jason Robertson had over 100 points last season. So
I'm talking about in the young season. Who is the Stars' best forward in the first 5 games of the season? You can make an argument for Wyatt Johnston. You can make an argument for maybe even Jamie Benn. But Robe Hanston hasn't played all 5 games.
He's played 4, and he's looked amazing. And he scored a point in every single one. I mean, I'm sure Pavelski did that too.
And has been playing great.
Yeah, see,
not the one. But Pavelski's just always in the right spot. He does everything right. And I think the thing with like Hintz is like sometimes you see him do stupid things, but then he's just fast and he fixes it himself.
He does. He's just that good defensively. So, well, and then this guy too, Johnston. Johnston's been ridiculous too. So,
all right, it's been an hour. Welcome to the Who Cares segment. Tonight's Who Cares segment has been planned for months in advance, and everybody knows exactly what it is. We are doing top 3 Pokemon. Top 3 Pokemons.
Didn't we do this, Ryan?
I think we already did this.
Well, I definitely didn't.
You weren't here.
Getting on here.
Okay, Chris is doing Pokemon. Me and Ryan are doing specifically Pokemon cards.
There you go. Okay. I can join in Pokemon cards. I can do some Pokemon cards. No,
But
I'm
we
doing
but,
Pokemon.
but we planned the Pokemon thing months ago, Chris. We have to continue with what we planned.
Chris, number 3 Pokemon. I'm going Tepig. Fiery pig. That is epic. I mean, come on. Pig on fire. Give me that. Number 3, Tepig. Who wants to go next?
Okay, so I'm going with the Pokemon cards because me and Ryan definitely did this like
Don't recall.
3 weeks ago when Chris wasn't here.
Don't recall.
I'm going to choose cards that I had when I was younger. I'm going with a Mew card that I had, and it was really cool because it had full art on it, which means you know how they have like those little boxes normally, and the art is all in the box, and the rest cards like one color or whatever. Well, the full art cards have the Pokemon covering the whole card, and then they just have the moves that they get just written over it. It's one of the coolest cards I had.
My turn?
Yeah, it's your turn, Ryan.
Okay. I am gonna go. Jeez. I'm down to like 5, but I can't pick. I have my number 1 and my number 2, but I can't pick between the last 3. Okay, I'll just go with this
riveting content.
I used to have this Mewtwo card that I really liked, and it was right after the whole, I don't even remember what the movie was called, but it was the battle between Mew and Mewtwo when it came out. So I really loved that specific Mewtwo card. It wasn't anything special or anything, but I really liked it. That's my number 3. I know it's lame.
Movie. That's the best Pokemon movie. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Chris, number 2. My number 2, Piplup, penguin, water penguin, little guy, little man.
I knew you were gonna pick him.
Piplup's my man, bro. That is my homie. He is my homie, Piplup.
I'm gonna go with Piplup for my number 2. Actually,
let's go.
I really like Piplup. That the one Pokemon game that I played all the way through on the DS, I played as Piplup with my starter, and I used him the entire run through, and he was my number 1 Pokemon. I never used any other Pokemon, and it was amazing.
High quality. S tier. Ryan. Better be
Ardell, really? Pokemon, the fat pink one? I know the answer to this. Who's the fat pink one? Do y'all know?
Clarify or Jigglypuff?
Mr. Mime.
Chansey.
That's
Chansey. Come on, guys. Chansey. Okay. Anyways, my number 2 and my number 1 are holographic cards. And if you don't know what holographic cards are, they're the really shiny ones. The really, really shiny ones. I had a Raichu holographic card that I absolutely loved when I was in elementary school because I was weird and everyone else was like Pikachu this, Pikachu that. And I didn't like, liking the same thing as everybody else. I was just like, it's overrated. It's fine. Everybody else liked it, of course. So I had to be quirky and different. And I loved my holographic Raichu card. That was my number 2.
You know what? I don't have to be quirky and different. My number 1 is Pikachu. It's Pikachu. And all I gotta say is bring back Fat Pika. We don't want none of this slim, sexy Pika. Sexy Pika, that's crazy. Pika? Original OG episode Pikachu.
Okay.
Fat Pikachu. Go back to Fat Pikachu. Bring me back Fat Pikachu.
He's not fat. He is healthy weight.
Fat Pikachu. Bring him back. James
okay, so it's not like he's like is it Snorlax?
Fat Pikachu. James
Snorlax.
Yeah, Snorlax. It's not like it's Snorlax or anything like that.
Fat Pikachu. James. Fat Pikachu. James, number 1.
My number 1 is
Pikachu.
Glaceon. Specifically, this one card. It's not anything special, but I really like this card. I don't know why. The card was never super good, but it was always, I don't know, it was always my favorite Pokemon. I always liked the evolution stuff. This was by far my favorite evolution.
All the audio listeners got to check out youtube.com/UCV4GUAH83E41YEO4NTUAE @UG to see the
and if you don't want us to have that really long URL, you could always subscribe.
You could always subscribe.
Once you get to the 1,000, we get our own.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's right.
Everybody make 100 fake accounts and subscribe right now.
Oh man.
You better write that down, Ryan.
Yes, I better write that down. Let me work on that for a second. I'll finish it off. I will. There was one Pokemon that everybody else loved that I was just like, okay, I gotta love this Pokemon too. So I was not
Is it
quirky
Pikachu?
for this one. No,
It's
it's not Pikachu. It's not Pikachu.
Charizard.
It's Charizard.
Okay.
It's a holographic Charizard card
The most
with him.
expensive Pokemon card.
Yes, exactly. And and I'd never had this card, but I looked out for it. And if I remember correctly, it was one where he was blowing fire into the air, right?
Someone called it breathing fire like a dragon.
Whatever. Okay, it's 11:30. Okay, give me a break.
I wonder whose fault that is. Okay,
Am I right?
thanks,
Here you go.
everybody.
Okay,
Ryan, here, I found it.
James, help me
It's
out.
this card.
Yes, that one exactly. Yep.
It's very expensive.
How expensive is it, James?
The real ones can like go up to, this one's like $2,000.
Oh my goodness.
That's not even the expensive ones. There's $1 million one.
Yeah, there is. I mean, depends.
The holographic?
People.
Yes, holographic Charizard at Beckett 10.
People like to not have the little corners messed up or anything, and you get like one of those corners nicked, and then they like drop the price all the way down.
Yeah.
It's really strange stuff, but the card is very coveted.
Logan Paul has $1 million Charizard card.
Shoot, if I had the kind of money he did, I would absolutely have $1 million Charizard card.
What a nerd! All right, close this out.
Says the one who chose Pikachu as his number one.
Fight me, Logan Paul. You won't.
No, you would get
Yeah, you
destroyed.
will.
Yeah, you would get destroyed.
Bet. Let's go. I want to be on that.
Okay. I know we're way over what we normally do, guys, but 1 second, and I wanted to mention it at the beginning, but you got to give it to the Texas Rangers.
Oh,
You got to give it to the Texas Rangers, okay? We got to mention them. They were down 3-2. They lost Game 5 in spectacular fashion, down 4-2. Altuve hits a three-run homer and makes it 5-4 in the bottom of the ninth. And it looks like their season is all over. And they come back and win Game 6, and they come back and win Game 7. So, I mean, you got to give them a shout out. I had so much fun watching Game 6 and Game 7.
I am so ready to be hurt again. Oh my goodness.
Poor
I don't
Chris.
understand.
You were 11 years old the last time.
I
they were
remember
in the
that
World
even.
Series,
I
right?
remember it even.
You got
It was,
to go, right, Chris?
No, we did not get to go.
No, we did not go.
And-
Oh no,
Yeah.
Zach got to go. Zach got to go.
No,
I think.
Zach got to go to the American League Championship Series.
Oh, that's what it
Everybody-
was. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. But when we lost in Game 6, I cried as an 11-year-old
I didn't.
for an hour. An hour.
Oh, man.
although them losing both of those in were they back-to-back years?
Yes,
I
they
think it
were,
was.
James. They were
Yeah.
back-to-back years.
It
Take
made
the
me.
dagger and just stab
It is.
him more.
It is the sole reason why I don't watch baseball. I'm not even gonna lie. I was very little
because of those 2 seasons.
Yes, seriously.
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness.
I don't watch baseball anymore. I completely lost interest.
In 2010, 2011, I watched almost every baseball game those 2 years. I was fully invested in that team. And oh man, did it hurt.
But now,
So-
now you have a podcast with the Dallas Stars. So I mean,
I'm ready for my childhood trauma to be overcome. I am ready and willing to heal through this process. Actually, today, before we did the podcast, I went back for like the first time ever and watched David Freese hit the home run in Game 6.
Oh my gosh, you don't do that to yourself.
It's therapy,
haven't
Ryan.
watched it.
I'm doing therapy.
I have-
Okay.
I
I watched that. And Matto's exactly right. I watched the Bautista bat flip as well. I watched that one too. And you know what else I watched? I watched every single time the Rangers screwed up. You know how many times there is that the Rangers have been on the other side of a great baseball moment? Like 5. There's 5 amazing moments in the past 10 years that have been on the other side of the Rangers. So it is time. We're playing the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Christian,
Please.
you're gonna have to get 2 TVs.
Oh, I got dual monitors. What do you
Let's
mean?
go.
I'm
You
already
got both
ready.
going at the same
Yeah,
time
Both
tomorrow.
will be going.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Well, not tomorrow. They don't start tomorrow. They start on Friday.
Start
don't they?
Friday. Yeah, I think they start Friday.
Oh yeah, Friday.
Well,
Foolish boy.
yeah.
Oh,
What's so nice?
My 12 o'clock is killing me.
Oh yeah. East Coast, whatever. But it's like perfectly spread out. All the 4 teams playing this upcoming week is like the Mavs were tonight, the Stars are tomorrow night. Friday is World Series.
Man,
Saturday
these guys
is
are really
World
getting
Series.
some behind the scenes
Sunday
stuff
is
right now, guys. This is stuff we talk about after the podcast is
It
over,
is.
so-
I mean, we should be done by now.
I know, but I mean, it's something that has to be mentioned. I mean, I'm kind of scared also because we got the matchup we wanted too. We didn't get the Phillies. We
No,
got the
shut your
Diamondbacks.
mouth. We do not want this.
It'd be better if there was
Diamondbacks.
no one there.
Scary
Okay.
Diamondbacks.
All right.
Don't like them.
Oh
Oh.
man.
Well,
What?
Ryan's video cut out, so
All right, cool. Thanks for
I'm
I'm
just
coming.
still
camera.
here. I'm
Since
still
Ryan
here.
will not close the podcast, thanks for watching Sarcastic Remarks. Thanks for all the audio listeners. Sorry this one got kind of off the rails. We started it late and now we're all really tired, so we just refused to finish it. Check out sarcasticremarks.com. We got a lot of cool stuff there. You can see when the new audio episodes are up, so just bookmark that on your work computer and pretend that your boss is walking by when you open it. That would be great. We also get blog posts up there, and you can also access the store from there and just lots of other cool stuff. It's an actual, like, legit website. You should check it out. I know it's surprising for such a small podcast, but it's actually pretty good. Go look at it. To check out our sponsor, DraftKings. Use that promo code THBM for any of your stuff and all the things for the betting things. Very good. Ryan, do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon, whatever Ryan's little catchphrase is. Bye.